Hello, welcome along to another Mia and the Menopause. My name is Mia McGann, and I am 2 years sort of in the menopause, I suppose. It's like 2 years since I had my last period, and I suppose my recognizing symptoms of the perimenopause maybe a year or two before, 2 years before that as well, I would say. So I was quite young going into the menopause. And I first started experiencing hot flushes definitely about 4 years ago, which is what I'm going to speak about today. So, I'm not an expert on the menopause by any means. So, what I'm sharing is from my own experience and what I've learned and discovered over the last 4 years that may be of benefit to some of you out there. So, one of the things that I realized very quickly was around diet. I gave up sugar 3 years ago for a year, and then I went back on it. And I'd had hot flushes, gave up the sugar for an entire year, had no hot flushes or virtually none, and then went back on it. And I now get hot flushes again. Okay, so one of the first things I realized is that sugar really, really affects it, and alcohol really affects it. So it's like the sugar in wine when you have a glass of wine. Now, I don't deprive myself of having certain things. However, I don't eat any processed foods. So, or very little processed foods. I probably have an odd thing that's processed, but very, very little. So I don't have very debilitating hot flushes. Now, I do get them, but they're not as debilitating as they could be. The other thing that I notice is caffeine. And again, there's research around all of this, but you really start to notice it yourself anyway, even if the research wasn't there. So caffeine and alcohol would be two very big triggers, and sugar. So if you do have that cake or that bun or something that's very has a lot of processed things in it, and particularly processed sugar, you will notice that you will get hot flushes even during eating it and immediately after eating it. So diet is imperative that you keep it a low sugar, low processed diet, and but you do have your treats. So what I would still get hot flushes most days because I have a coffee in the morning and I know it affects me almost immediately, and other hot drinks too do as well to some degree. But what I do is I keep my system as alkaline as possible. So that means eating a lot of green leafy vegetables. I eat a lot of nuts, a lot of seeds, cider vinegar. Okay, so vinegar again, it stops it being acidic. And when it's acidic is when we get a lot of heat in the body. So I take a lot of cider vinegar, like maybe 3 or 4 cups a day of cider vinegar and warm water, cool, like not hot, but just kind of lukewarm water. Another thing that really, really helps is drinking a lot of water. Okay, so again, your 8 glasses a day, and it really does make a difference, and it's worth making the effort because, as I say, I've seen people have much more debilitating hot flushes than the ones that I get, even though sometimes I find it unpleasant. They're not as debilitating as they could be because of my reasonably healthy diet. The other thing I do is I take something, I take a supplement. So I take Clean Marine, which I don't know if you can see, it's a bit of a shine, but basically I take krill oil with B vitamins, biotin, and soy. Okay, so they're soy isoflavones. But a lot of research again gone into soy. And actually in Japan, there is no word for hot flushes or hot flashes. They're virtually unheard of because their diet is so rich in soy, and again, and in good quality protein, which they get from oily fish and that sort of thing. So I'm recommending too that you take some sort of a supplement. Talk to somebody in the health food store. They're usually very good, and they're usually very, very well informed when it comes to the menopause. So it's about not suffering. The other thing that this is, I suppose this is the area that really interests and excites me, is because I teach Kundalini Yoga. And when we talk about our Kundalini energy, it's this energy that's stored at the base of our spine. And when we awaken this energy, we're awakening to our full potential and to our wisdom. And we are moving into our wisdom years when we're in the menopause. So there is a theory out there that says that your menopause is actually, when you're getting these hot flushes, it is your Kundalini energy rising. Okay, and you're moving from you've been the maiden, and then you've moved into being the mother, and now you're moving into those years, those wisdom years, where women become really, really powerful and often highly successful post their childbearing years. It's very common. I'm just thinking Louise Hay is after coming into my head there. But often women in their late 40s and 50s, that's when they really start to be successful in a very different sort of way. But we become wise, we start to know who we are and what we're about. Now, this comes through embracing this energy that's rising in us, which often comes in the form of the hot flushes. So when you start to think like this, you can really start to welcome them and embrace them. And if you can consciously, as you feel the heat moving through your body, try to imagine it moving up through your spine, moving to the major energy centers in the body. So they're located, your root chakra is your legs, and just down below your sex organs, the whole root area. The next is your sacral, which is the sex organs, the lower belly, this area. And then you move into your solar plexus around your belly button, into your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. So this is for all women, okay? So the next time that you feel yourself having a hot flush, try to welcome the energy and see it as your wisdom rising in you, and just visualize it moving up through the center of your body into all these places, and really try to, I suppose, embrace it with ease and with grace rather than resist it. Okay. And what I'm saying to you, if you kind of move towards a cleaner, different sort of diet, lower in processed food, lower in sugar, lower alcohol, lower coffee, okay, they're not going to be as intense anyway. So they're going to be a little bit easier to embrace. The other thing I would say, if you can bring in at all, if you can make it possible to have as much dignity and grace when you are having a hot flush. And it really does make a difference because they feel very intense and they can feel quite dramatic. And when we add drama to that, we're just giving more energy to the whole experience rather than having it as a self-contained. And remember, we want to contain this energy because this is our power. So keep it as self-contained as possible. Now, that said, I am not always ladylike when I'm having a hot flush. Sometimes we're driving in the car and I'm like, oh my God, I have to open all the windows in the car. And ladies, you know what that feels like, okay? So, I'm not always really graceful about it. But if you can be, it does make a difference. Just quietly have it and move the energy, really be with it, and really try to see it as a positive thing, because what will happen is it will start to settle where it needs to go in your body, and it will open up those centers, and it will empower you, and you will become a more amazing woman by using this energy correctly. Another great way to do it is by taking up a yoga practice or a Tai Chi practice. So a similar type exercise, yoga, Tai Chi, pranayama, which is breath work. Gentle walking is fantastic. What you want to do is have a strong nervous system so that the energy doesn't get blocked, so that it can flow rather than get stuck. Because when it gets stuck, that's when we start to have our headaches and to feel unwell and to feel moody. And that's something I'm going to talk about again, is the mood swings and other things we can experience in the menopause. But for today, I'm just going to keep it with the hot flushes. What I would suggest as well, what I found really helpful is to layer up in clothes rather than put on big heavy things, because at least it means you can kind of strip off as you need to. And as I say, I have noticed, compared to other women, that my flushes aren't as debilitating, purely because my diet is pretty clean. I drink a lot of water. I exercise as much as possible. But I think the real key difference is as well as that embracing. So just try to not resist the changes that are happening in you, because really they're creating this amazing new woman. And these are your crowning years. You're becoming a queen. You can say crone or queen. I kind of like queen, but crone is okay too. But we are moving into our crowning years, our crowning glory. And we are becoming the powerful women in our societies. We are the example for the younger women coming up. So we want to, I suppose, for me anyway, I want to teach my daughters that this is something to embrace, it's something to welcome, and it's a new phase in my blossoming femininity, let's call it. So I hope this was helpful. Once again, if you liked it, please hit the like button or subscribe to my channel. That would be wonderful. And I will be continuing to share more about the menopause and other things as well. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Mia McGann. This is the House of Love, and I'm sharing around Mia and the menopause. Bye bye. Namaste.